Dear students, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I hope everybody is doing well and in good health. Today our topic of discussion is the hypothetical-deductive method. If you remember, in the last lecture we have learned about inductive and deductive reasonings which are used in research, and today in particular we are talking about the hypothetical-deductive, which is the deductive method, or a method of research, right, in which we derive conclusion by the help of deductive reasoning. So why this is called hypothetical deductive? It means the hypotheses which are developed and tested, used, and in that we have used deductive method. Okay, means by the help of deductive method we are just testing the hypothesis. Okay, in this deductive methods we have 7 steps, or you can say this is the 7-step process. The first we have is observation and preliminary information gathering, theory formulation, hypothesizing, and further scientific data collection, data analysis, and deduction. So the first step in this method of research, we have observation. So dear students, what is observation? Okay, in the first step, if you are a manager of an organization, you observe. Look, in this step, some changes or problems are observed. You observe something, that there is something wrong in your organization, right? And as you know, the researches are conducted for the purpose to solve the problem, to resolve the issues, right? So in this applied research method, for example, you try to find out where is a problem. So you observe some changes. So changes in attitude means in behavior, or in perception, in opinion, right, or in behaviors of the employees. So how your employees respond to commands, into guidelines, principles, right, and the communication pattern, right? Maybe there is some problem in communication, or the gap in communication between the subordinates, or between the manager and subordinates, right? Or maybe you have noticed the problem of absenteeism. Some of the employees, they are making lots of absentees, or turnover, some leave the organization, quit the organization, or conflict between employees, between manager and employees, between subordinates and the manager, right? And sometimes disinterestedness, when your employees are not happy or they are not satisfied, or generally you may notice a drop in sale. So dear students, there can be many types of problems, right, or changes observed by the manager. And you know, all changes, whatever kind of change we have, whether that is changes in attitude, behavior, or there is gap in communication, or absenteeism, conflict, whatever. So you know, in one way or another, directly or indirectly, it affects what the performance of a business, or the output, or the productivity, or the efficiency. So that is why we try to resolve the problem. Whatever the problem we notice or we observe, we should resolve it. Okay, so in this hypothetical deductive method, the first step is observation, where we sense a problem, we feel something is wrong. Okay, in the next step we have preliminary information gathering. For example, you sensed that there is a conflict between your employees, or there is disinterestedness. So now you try to collect information why there is conflict, why employees have conflict with each other, and why the employees are not happy, or they are not interested. So in this stage, whatever problem you have sensed, whatever problem you have felt, then in the preliminary information gathering step you try to collect information on that. Or for example, if you sensed that there is a sudden drop in sale or decrease in sale, then you try to find out the information that why the sale decreased. Okay, so dear students, look here in this preliminary information gathering, collecting information and what have been observed. Okay, how you collect information? So here are a few steps you have to go through in order to find information. For example, you sensed there is a problem. Okay, for example, you sensed that there is drop in sale. Say, okay, now this is your feeling, like you have felt something wrong here. Okay, now in order to make sure to know why there is a drop in sale, then you have to go through some steps. The first, we have you talking informally to several people in work setting. Okay, for example, all those individuals who are linked one way or another with the sale, like sale personnel or sale manager or anyone who is involved, then you try to talk to them informally, to ask them some question using some unstructured interview, means a free interview. You ask them why there is a drop in sale. You ask the sale manager or the sale employees or personnel, right? So or sales force or whoever, and then you try to conduct interview and collect some information from them about this change. Or sometimes you try to conduct some formal interview, like you called upon, or you just try to hold a meeting with sale managers, and individually you're asking each and everybody that why there is a significant drop in sale and why it happened. So sometimes you go to library search. Okay, also along with all these information you have collected from these first two sources, then you also do some library search, where you study some books or some articles or some information that how the sale can be decreased and why the sales drop, for example. So also some other sources, you check the websites or internet or Google or articles, publications. So you try to go through all these sources, right, in order to guess. Some have to know about the reasons why have the sales decreases, right, and why there can be, and because of what there can be a sudden drop in sale, and what factors you can find out to know that can contribute to drop in sale. So dear students, once you go to these stages, right, these steps, you may just find out some reason. For example, you found that number of reasons can contribute to drop in sale. Okay, you found that poor communication or poor marketing or overlooking competition. These are just general three information you have collected from all these sources. It's been you found that the poor communication in marketing or overlooking competition. It's been whenever you do not consider competition, right, or you are careless about competition, right, then that can also be a reason behind drop in sale. Why? Because when you do not compete in the market, other competitors, they use some strategies. That is why they attack over your business. So that can also be a reason. So these are some information you have collected, okay, in the preliminary information gathering by the help of these steps. Okay, and this information you are trying to collect about a problem you have sensed and you have felt, and that was drop in sale. Okay, next, dear students, in the third step is called theory formulation. Okay, now in this theory, look, develop theory or theories by integrating all information collected in a logical manner. For example, the information you have collected, right, that is poor communication, poor marketing, and overlooking computation by the help of all these steps. Okay, right, now you try to integrate, right, and all these information in a logical manner, just to make a theory out of it. Okay, for example, how you can make a theory out of this? Poor communication, poor marketing, and overlooking competition are major factors contributing to the poor sale in an organization. Okay, this is just a theory integrated, and this theory includes all the possible factors which affect the sale, and you have developed this theory from where? Out of this collected information. Also, you can develop a theory like this: poor pricing strategy, right? Poor pricing strategy, poor packaging, and poor customer communication contribute negatively to increase in sale. For example, poor pricing strategy, you have taken this idea and your theory from poor marketing, right here, sorry, in overlooking competition. It means if you are not careless, if you're not careful about the competition and you're careless, it means your pricing strategy may be poor, right? Why? Because if you try to compete in the market, you should select pricing strategy through which you can compete in the market, right? You can increase your sale. So that is why you can develop a theory that the pricing strategy, and also poor packaging from this this information from poor marketing. Why? In the poor marketing we may have lots of factors, and one can be a poor packaging, and also poor customer communication contribute negatively to increase in sales. So dear students, this is a theory, and this theory you have developed out of this given information you have collected. Okay, so keep in mind, in the theory formulation we develop theory or theories by integrating all information collected. So look, in these two theories we have developed two theories in a manner in which we have integrated, right, all these three information in a logical manner which makes sense. Okay, now dear students, out of this theory, this is what we call theory formulation, and make sure in this theory formulation we furthermore also specify the variables. Like here we have three variables. One variable we have which is independent variable, another independent is poor marketing and overlooking competition. So these are three independent variables, and we have another variable, and that is sale. Okay, so sale is dependent variable. Okay, so look here, the poor pricing strategy, this is also a variable. In packaging, poor packaging is another variable, independent variable, and these are poor customer communication is a third independent variable, and here the sale is dependent variable. You know what is dependent and differential? I will discuss in detail when we study the chapter of theory formulation. So you can say all these three are independent variable, and this cell is dependent. Why? Because the cell depend on them. So we say if you alter your pricing strategy, so your cell may increase or decrease. We don't know about it. So it's mean the cell can be affected by the poor pricing strategy, or you can say the poor packaging may affect your cell. So the cell is dependent variable and poor packaging is independent variables. So in the theory formulation, dear students, we are examining, right, have each and every independent variable make a sense, right, with the dependent variable. Or is there any logical relationship between the dependent and dependent variable, or there is any link, right, or association between these variable or not. So I mean, in the theory formulation, you have to develop a theory which should be logical. It means the relationship between them should make a sense. Okay, and these theories should be developed based on the data you have collected. Okay, now in the fourth step, dear students, we are hypothesizing. What is hypothesizing? Out of this these theories, we can make a number of hypotheses, but you can pick, or you can just develop a hypothesis what you see can be more important for your business, or just you doubt that this hypothesis may be a reason for your problem. So you can develop a hypothesis. So out of this information, I have developed a hypothesis like high pricing strategy negatively affect the volume of sale. And from where you are just taking this hypothesis, okay, look, that is from, you can say, from this theory, right? In this theory we have poor pricing strategy. So poor pricing strategy can be a high pricing strategy. For example, in your market, all the competitors, they are setting low pricing strategy, and you are just selecting a high pricing strategy. So you can say your high pricing strategy can be a poor strategy in with respect to the market and environment and the customer purchasing power. You're not considering the market in all the situation, and then you're just selecting a high pricing. You're setting high pricing, so you can say that can be a poor pricing strategy, right? So that is why we say high pricing strategy negatively affects the customer, the volume of sale. So this is a hypothesis, this is a conjecture, or you can say this is a statement, right? Assumption you have taken from where? From this theory. Keep in mind always, whatever you try to test, right, out of the given theory, right, we put it as a hypothesis, as a statement here, and then we try to only test this hypothesis. So you can make many hypotheses, like you can make a hypothesis like poor packaging can affect the sale negatively. You can say poor customer communication can affect the sale negatively, or whatever hypothesis. But keep in mind, whenever you try to develop the hypothesis, you have to develop out of the theory you have formulated, okay, based on the theory you have formulated. So that is why this hypothesis we have developed out of this theory. Now what we try to do, we try to test this hypothesis to make sure whether high pricing strategy negatively affect the volume of sale or not. Okay, so what we are doing in order to test this hypothesis, we further we do some scientific data collection. Okay, it means we are collecting data particularly on this hypothesis and the variables we have in this hypothesis. So in this hypothesis we have two variables. Okay, one is high pricing, for example. This is one variable. Another, we have volume of sale. Okay, this is another variable. Now we try to collect information on these two variables. Okay, how you can collect further information, data on these two variables? Okay, through questionnaire. You can do like you're just making some number of questions in your questionnaire and ask the customers the reason behind that. If they are charged with high price, right, then what is their behavior, right? Will they purchase or not, and how they consider the product with high pricing? You know, dear students, that high pricing can move your sale either up or down. Have psychologically, if you set high pricing, sometimes some customer, they tend to perceive that the products you offer them is of quality, right? So that is why, and sometimes high pricing is not effective. Why? Because low pricing can be effective, and sometimes opposite of high pricing, the low pricing strategy can negatively affect the volume of sale. How? For example, when you set low pricing, so your customers may think that the quality of the services or the product you are selling may not be good. So that is why they think that the low pricing means the low quality. But dear students, we don't know in your situation and in your business situation whether the high pricing can be a good strategy or can be a bad strategy. So that is why you should conduct some survey, or you should ask your customers by the help of questionnaire, right, to make sure what pricing strategy may be preferable or favorable for them. Okay, also by the help of surveys, you just do the survey, or also you may collect some time series data, right? Collect all the high prices, the time, the period in where high prices set, and also in that time the volume of the sale. You collect the data, the periodic data and the time series data on both of them, and then you try to check the correlation or whatever other method of data collection, whether that is primary or secondary, right? So in this step, which is further scientific data collection, it's mean here we are collecting data on these two variables. Okay, next, dear students, that is data analysis. Once you have collected the data on these two variables, okay, which is high pricing, which is independent variable, this is dependent variables, you have collected data. Now you should perform some analysis. The data collected on variable or statistically analyzed. You may use some quantitative method where you just check the correlation between these two variables, or you check the regression analysis. Sometimes you use some qualitative types of analysis where you try to conduct interviews and collect the data from different customers, right? And then you put the data in different categories, and then the narrative types of data may be conducted through interviews, and then that may be put in scale or in different categories, and on the basis of that some output or some result are produced. Okay, so whatever methods of analysis are used, whether that is quantitative or qualitative, so in the data analysis step, it's mean we analyze the data. Inshallah, you will learn in much detail all about these methods in the chapter of data analysis. Okay, so here in this chapter we do the analysis that have these two variable correlate. It means have the high pricing affect the sale, whether it affect negatively or positively. So that information can be obtained by the help of the analysis. Okay, once you do the analysis, the output of the analysis, in this stage the results are interpreted, okay, and the conclusions are drawn. The analysis will just tell you whether there is a relationship between these two variables or there is no relationship. Okay, so the conclusion either support or reject the hypothesis. This is the hypothesis, this is what you try to test. Okay, so for example, your finding indicates that there is strong negative correlation between high pricing and volume of sale. Okay, For example, if the result is like this, there is strong negative correlation between high pricing and volume of sale. It means this statement is supported. It means your research has supported this statement, and you can believe now that high pricing strategy negatively affect the volume of sale. It means when you set high prices, then that will move your sale down, right? So the sale will drop if you set the high pricing. Okay, and in this situation, if the findings support your hypothesis, then the business should take appropriate steps in correcting the pricing strategy to solve the problem. Then what is the responsibility of the business now? The managers, they have to correct. They should not set high pricing. Then why? Because the finding or the research found out that the high pricing is not a good parameter, right? And high pricing is not a good strategy for increasing the sale. So in that situation, the appropriate steps should be taken to correct the pricing strategy and to solve the problem. So dear students, these were all the 7 steps, right, in deductive method. I'm just simply explaining that why it is called deductive method, because in deductive method we have some theories, we develop some theories, and based on the basis of these theories we are developing hypotheses, and then we collect some data, and then we analyze the data, and then finally we conclude about the result. Okay, I hope you have got it. It was all about these 7 steps. So dear students, have a nice time and wish you good luck. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.